Hey gang, welcome back. Kris Krohn here, and I am joined by expert and positive psychologist, Paul Jenkins. So Paul, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Kris. Thrilled to be here.
Thank you. So I brought Paul on because today we're going to be talking about the power of psychology and mindset and the role that it plays in all the wealth that we're working on helping you build together. So I've brought Paul Jenkins here to drop a bomb on you. In fact, years ago when I had a chance to hear him speak, he started talking about metacognition. And I'm like, it was such a mind-blowing moment for me that I thought, I gotta find the right time and space to eventually get Paul on the show here so we can share with you probably one of the most important golden nuggets about how to get to your next psychological breakthrough, because we're all here trying to figure out how to grow from less wealthy to wealthy. We're all trying to grow from, maybe less happy relationships to more happy relationships. Yeah. And I think today is going to be a really, really huge and very significant hack. So to get there, that's why you want to hang tight. But before we get there and drop that on you, I just want to opportunity, Paul, for you to introduce yourself to, to the people here on our Limitless Wealth TV channel. First of all, I just got to start with, what's a positive psychologist?
I know, right? Is that a contradiction of terms?
Kind of, right?
I don't know, it might be. And I get a little flack for this sometimes because I kind of left the tribe. You think about it, psychotherapy sounds a little like therapy for psychos.
Okay, yeah.
And I had a traditional psychology practice. I was there for probably 12, 13 years. And there came a point where I realized that we have this spectrum, this continuum. If you put your mental health and your relationships and your psychology on this continuum, clear over here on the left end is the sick end.
Yeah.
So that's where we have diagnosis, pathology, treatment, all that fun stuff.
That's depression and anxiety and
yeah.
I hate my life
and can I get my insurance company to pay for some treatment?
Right.
Okay. I'm really more interested in this other end over here to understand that if we go to the middle first, that's health.
Yeah.
Health meaning not sick.
Yeah.
You'd think maybe health is the opposite of sick. I just mean not sick. So you could be sick in bed with a fever, throwing up. There comes a time you can get out of bed and you're not sick.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you're truly fit, thriving, prospering.
Yeah.
That's this end.
All right.
There's some overlap in the middle.
Which has a lot to do with your brand living on purpose, which is
yes.
what you talk about on your YouTube channel.
Right.
What's it really all about?
So thinking of that spectrum, that continuum, there are principles that allow us to get out of bed where we're not sick.
Right.
And in my previous practice, I had this experience where that's when the insurance companies would pull the plug. And they'd say, thanks, doc, we're done, right? Because there's no longer a diagnosis. But there's all of this aspect to our life that I call living on purpose.
Yeah.
And you call it some other things, but it's the same principle.
Right.
Where we go from that meager or average kind of an existence to something that is much higher, much more enlightened, much more prosperous, much more wealthy. All of those things have to do with this end of the spectrum.
Well, and that's a lot of what we talk about here on this channel, because people are watching these videos and subscribing because they want to know, how do I create wealth? And so often that's going to come back to the psychology. I always call it the real estate between our two ears.
Yes.
And so becoming wealthy, it's really almost a journey of the mind first and a journey of oneself learning, who we are. And friends, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Paul on here, because listen, I can give you tactics and strategies all day long for making money, but in the end, the operating system is who you are, how you feel, how you think. And if there's problems there, this idea of going from sick to just being at a space of healthy, we're trying to get you into the land of abundance and prosperity. And there's a quantum leap from just being not, I'm not sick, to actually being in a great abundance of the health that someone wants in their life.
Yes. And you talk about the real estate between the ears. That's also the checkup from the neck up, where we get to tune into this concept that you already introduced. It's called metacognition. Now, what does that mean? It's a made-up word, Kris.
Yeah, most words are.
We make up words in psychology. It makes us feel smart.
All right.
And this is one of them. If you break it down, cognition just means thinking. So if we put that right here at this level, metacognition is a higher level. It's thinking about
Thinking.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that introspection, I learned years ago, I was in a bubble where I was a steamroller. I wasn't that great of a boss. It's not someone you necessarily want to hang out with. And I didn't know that I was that way. I just was that way. And frankly, it inhibited my business. It kept me from growing the way I wanted. And there were a lot of body bags, a lot of unhappy people in my life. I couldn't figure out why they were unhappy. I didn't realize I was the common denominator. Yeah. And, this awareness process, becoming aware of my thinking and my thoughts, it's really what led to some huge transformation. But I had to go through some rigorous programs to get there. How can you teach us something here today that can help drop that on us? Because that's, frankly, guys, that's why I've got Paul here.
Well, and there are some shortcuts. But I say that with an acknowledgement that you got to put in the work, too, because you guys know that Kris has put in the work. I hope that they know that.
Well, either that or I got lucky. I'm the lucky sperm
maybe
club.
It's luck, right?
I'm not.
It's not luck. It's not magic. There are principles that determine all of life's outcomes. All of them. And I know that's a bold statement. Principles determine all of life's outcomes. There are principles about how your mind works that are obvious, but completely unnoticed.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the hacks right now. I want them to get this benefit.
All right, so turn on the metacognition.
Yeah.
And there's two that I'll share with you today. And there's a hack that goes with both of them, but we'll tie it into a principle around how your mind works. I just want you to notice it. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I don't have that kind of authority, but I want you to see that you are. Because as you become aware of your own thinking, you go to that metacognitive level, it becomes a choice. And that's huge because until you see it as a choice, it's not. So seeing that and being aware of it is the first thing. So here's the first process. It's called evaluation.
Okay.
Evaluation just means judgment. And you can't turn this off any more than you can turn off gravity. It's going to happen. Just notice that you're constantly judging yourself, your family, your spouse, your coworkers, your job, your finances. You're constantly judging.
Yeah.
Just notice that you are. So the word evaluation itself implies comparison with some standard.
Yeah.
So Kris, are you doing well?
Yes.
Well, it depends on.
Right. I'm judging myself.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on what you compare yourself to,
well,
right?
like for me, my judgment was until I get to $10,000 a month residually, then I won't have met my goal. I won't be where I want to be. And so in the 4 years leading up to getting to $10,000 a month, I always came short.
Constantly falling short.
I was always falling short, and I was questioning myself, and I was doubting myself. Then once I exceeded it, then until I moved my needle to a different plane, I was better than my goal, and I felt very accomplished and achieved.
I got to share an Uber with Mark Eaton.
Yeah.
You know who Mark is. If you don't know who Mark Eaton is, go to 7foot4.com.
Yeah.
The dude is 7'4".
Yeah.
I'm 6'2".
Tall guy.
And I'm looking up to him.
Breaking your neck muscles.
Am I a tall man?
Generally, yes.
Well, that's an evaluation question.
Yeah. I thought I was tall until I met Mark Keaton.
Right. So it just depends on who or what you compare yourself to. Just notice that you're doing it.
Yeah, and I think often when we do that judgment, we can get into positive judgments or negative judgments.
Absolutely.
And I think those negative judgments are often the things that we leverage against ourselves, that close the doors of possibility, keep us from actually getting the life that we want, because we've evaluated and we've judged ourselves and said, I'm not measuring up, I'm not good enough, it's not happening fast enough, maybe it will never happen.
And notice how that feels.
Yeah, it feels horrible. It's actually, if you represent positive psychology, then this is the negative psychology.
Well, and that's one reason I left the tribe, Kris, because traditional psychology seems to be more interested in the question, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And can we label that?
Yeah, broken.
Not interested.
Yeah.
I want to know what skills do you have? What resources can you apply? Because we've got another process that we get to talk about.
Okay, so the first one is just becoming aware of your own thinking and aware of your own judgments.
And see that you're doing it.
Yeah. Now, by the way, if someone, is there a hack there for someone that says, okay, Paul, I'm doing it. I'm putting in the work. I'm actually starting to evaluate and become aware, of my judgments, and I'm finding that I can put them in a positive bucket and a negative bucket.
Right.
What advice would you give for someone as a positive psychologist?
As you notice, and that's important, as you notice, that you are judging your life. Your finances, for example. You're watching Kris's channel because you want to improve that, right? Most of you are already in the top 10% of the world's wealthy.
Just don't know it.
Well, you got a screen that you're viewing this on. What?
Right.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So amazing. So you're only doing poorly if you compare yourself to some higher standard.
Yeah.
And you're only doing well if you compare yourself to some lower standard. So just notice that you're doing it. And here's the hack. I call it the gratitude triple play.
Ooh, I like the name.
Okay.
I like the sound of this. Sounds aggressive.
And I won't explain all the psychology behind this, but trust me, gratitude is the fastest way to get to a positive evaluation about your life the way it is right now without changing anything.
Okay.
Gratitude triple play. Come up with 3 things each day. Do this for 5 days. Okay? 3 things each day for which you are sincerely grateful. Now that's not too hard, right?
No,
People do
it's
gratitude
reasonable.
lists. But here's what powers it up. You get 1 freebie. And by that I mean it's easy to be grateful for stuff that's already awesome.
Right. Yeah. You got some
Right.
things that are going on great in your life, and you
You'll
can be
think,
grateful for those
my
things
health,
that you.
my
Yeah.
family, puppies and rainbows and indoor plumbing.
Right.
Okay, yeah, freebie. It's not hard to be grateful for stuff that's already awesome. You get 1 of those every day. The other 2 have to be from your hard list.
Oh, wow. Okay, that actually took an unexpected turn there. So you actually have to
Now-
find gratitude in things that challenge you.
Something that is challenging, hard, difficult, frustrating,
Yeah.
kicking your butt.
Yeah.
Here's an example, and I use this one because it was so compelling to me. Cancer. Okay, now 1/3 of the people who are watching this video right now are dealing with this somewhere in their life.
Wow.
It hit our family about 1.5 years ago, my sister-in-law. 2 months from diagnosis to funeral.
Wow.
Okay? So cancer, if whatever your cancer is, that's what I'm talking about. Now, am I saying be grateful for the cancer? No. What I'm saying is open it up. Okay, peel it back, look around inside of there and see what you can find that you are truly grateful for.
Wow.
And in that cancer, I found a relationship with my niece. She's 20 years old, special needs. She got to live with us while her mother passed. Now, am I grateful for that relationship?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Am I grateful for the cancer? That's harder, but that's where I found it.
So that's interesting. So I can actually see how this would really impact someone's feelings. If we could take our most challenging
Yes.
or difficult judgments and find any aspect of it that we can find gratitude in, there's going to be a shift. Instead of the whining, complaining, victimhood, my life is so, and this thing happened, and it's not good
Right.
enough, and I don't measure up. Instead, it's like, wow, if you can actually go to a dark place and find a little candle, it's going to light the room up.
And it changes what you just asked your mind to do for you.
Yeah.
See, you're used to saying things like cancer are
Bad,
bad,
hard, difficult, bad.
right?
Yeah.
Now, painful and bad aren't the same thing. If you can find the gratitude in there, you just asked your mind to do something different with this.
Yeah.
And that's huge because we're not done yet. The other process is creation.
So first of all, we got the gratitude triple play, which is
That's the hack.
That's the hack. So if you're evaluating and you're seeing that you got positive and negative judgments, understand that there's a weight to the negativity, and that's going to close doors of opportunity. And the way that you can hack through that is with the gratitude triple
Yes.
play, which is, hey, every single day, what I hear you saying is find 3 things that you're grateful for. One of them can be the freebie, which is the easy stuff that comes
That's
so natural.
easy.
But 2 out of the 3, you've got to look into a hard spot of your life, a challenging thing. In fact, find something that you're miserable over. Find something that you've had a lot of pain and frustration and misery over.
Yeah.
And actually find something in it that you can find gratitude for that you couldn't have otherwise. And this is a process of becoming aware of your thoughts and then actually
Yes.
doing something positive about it.
And that sets you up
Yeah.
for what's next. In fact,
hear it.
think about it this way. Whatever emotion and energy you create in this evaluation mode when you're judging your life becomes the currency that you take to the creation game.
Okay, so the creation game is the second area.
That's the second process, and you can't turn this off either.
Okay.
Any more than you can turn off evaluation or gravity. It's going to happen. You have to create something. The question is, what are you going to create?
So we're always in creation
Yes.
of something.
Have you noticed, Kris, that you can make a mess?
Yes.
That's good news.
Yes. Yes.
Because it means you can create something.
Yes.
Okay?
All right. So even if I'm creating something I don't like, I still created it.
It's like, where do you think that came from? People come to me all the time and they're like, I got all these messes in my life. I'm like, that is sweet. You are a powerful creator. But until you see that you're creating the mess, you're not in position to choose anything else. And that bites, that stings a little sometimes.
Yeah, the truth can be hard if you have to take account. It's one thing to take accountability for all of my accomplishments and achievements.
Yeah.
But if I take accountability for the crap rather than pointing fingers at everybody else.
What if we just give everybody an assignment? You guys can pause the video for 20 minutes. What if we did 20 minutes? You just go out there and somehow make your life worse.
Some of us know how to do that really well.
No, please don't pause the video and go do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do the disclaimer first.
That's a horrible assignment.
But look how quickly your mind can come up with half a dozen ways to pull that off.
Yep.
And it's not going to take 20 minutes.
There's some words that I could say to my wife that would create automatic
Oh,
incendiary.
you know you could do
yeah,
this.
I could put myself in the doghouse really fast.
Notice that you can make a mess. This is good news because if you can create a mess, what else might you be able to create?
Probably some solutions or good things or results that we want.
Messes or masterpieces?
All right.
Let's pick one of those.
Okay.
When you start with gratitude, now that's in the evaluation mode, okay? You see that your life is already awesome. And there's all kinds of arguments for that. Gratitude puts you into that energy and mindset. You then take that energy to the creation mode because it could always be better.
Okay. So what's the hack on creation? How do we leverage creation positively?
Okay, here's the hack. I call it BB-8.
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 This is not like a
Are you a
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars fan?
Okay. This is a Star Wars thing.
Well, that's an image that might help you to remember it. But here's where I'm going with this. How sure are you that 8 o'clock is coming?
Oh, 8 o'clock.
100%?
100%.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Okay.
I don't need to be convinced.
And there's 2 every day for those of you who don't get up early.
Right.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Kris, how sure are you that you're going to be around for 8 o'clock?
I feel completely positive that I'm, no matter what, going to be here for 8
You
o'clock.
got a pretty good track record so far.
Yeah. It's been
Okay.
working out.
Awesome. If 8 o'clock is coming and you're going to be around for 8 o'clock, there's only 2 options.
Okay.
I used to think there were 3.
Okay.
I've eliminated the third one because I don't think it's possible
Okay.
for things to be exactly the same at 8 o'clock as they are right now. You're going to be at least a few hours older.
So something will be different.
Something's going to be different. And if it's going to be different, then by definition, it has to be, by your own evaluation, either better or worse.
Okay. So you're saying that no matter what, when 8 o'clock comes around,
It's going to be
based
different.
on the choices that I make or the way that I'm feeling, I'm going to create something that is going to enhance my life in a positive way,
Or make a mess.
or it's going to make a mess. So you're saying that no matter what, come 8 o'clock, I'm either going to make a mess or a masterpiece or something on the spectrum.
Yes.
Okay.
And we already know you could make a mess.
Yes, we
That's
already know.
the 20-minute exercise that
We're not going to
aborted.
do. Yes.
But notice that you've got the ability to come up with ideas of how to create that. Guess
Dude.
what? What if you were to put that toward, what can I do? Just pick some aspect of your life. It might be your health. It might be your finances. It might be your relationship. What can I do
Yeah.
to make things better by 8?
You know, this is
BB-8.
This is BB-8.
Do that for the same
And
5
BB
days.
stands for
Better by 8.
Better by 8. Better by 8. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So you guys don't maybe know this about me. My wife knows this about me. But
Yeah,
come
she
every 8 p.m., like every evening, you know, at some point earlier in the day, I'm like, what are we going to do tonight? And she knows what I mean. I'm looking for something exciting, thrilling. I'm looking for something that would be perceived as fun or positive, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And every day I have a similar process that I start my day with, which is, what do I do today to be wealthier, healthier, happier? And
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, it's these tiny little incremental daily things that after months or years add up into something huge.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't need to do anything great today. I just need to have something that will contribute to greatness down the road. And what can that be?
Yeah.
So this is actually, so Paul, this is actually kind of cool. I didn't expect today when we shot this, because it's kind of a little bit of a longer video going, but I'm loving what we're hitting today. This idea of positive psychology, ultimately, if I were to like sum this up, it's this idea of, number one, step into positivity, and you can do that by three, and it's called the what? It's called the gratitude triple play. So
That's the hack. Yeah.
That's the hack. So your triple play is your way of shifting from the fact that there's negativity inside of all of us towards the positivity. And then what it's doing is fueling and setting you up in the creation for BB8. At 8 o'clock, what are you going to have created? Are you going to create more mess, or are you going to create more masterpiece? Which is it going to be?
Both options.
Yeah, both options exist. And we can be aware of that and then act out intentionally on what one we want to create.
Absolutely.
Like literally for my health, I could get down right now and I could do 30 push-ups. And
would you like to?
That could actually strengthen my body, and it's something I do between now and 8.
That's just an example. Check it out. If you do this better by 8 thing
daily,
and you fuel it with the gratitude, because you're not even going to do it if you're feeling like, oh, my life sucks.
Right.
I mean, if you're feeling depressed, defeated, inadequate, how likely are you to go do something productive?
Paul, I just shot a video. I got a video from a guy by the name of Dex down south in Florida who said, Kris, you got to hook me up. You got to help me. You know, I don't have any money worth poop. I don't have this. I've got no worth. You know, hook me up. And, you know, I don't know what to interpret. I watched the video, and what he really might be asking me for is, Kris, teach me how to make a lot of money, because a lot of money is what I'm looking for.
That'll solve all my problems.
That's the idea, right? But the whole video ended up being about mindset, because ultimately you've got, you know, if you've got a business that isn't growing, you got to fix the business before you can grow the business. Right now, this is your business. So fix the business, and then you can grow. If you want bigger results outside of you, then fix the psychology inside of you. Because if you got too much negativity, then one, that's why we have a Paul. And two, that's actually going to keep you from ever getting to the good stuff. You might say making $1 million is the good stuff. You might say having an amazing relationship going to new heights is the good stuff. You might say, you know, getting an 8-pack is the good stuff. The good stuff never will come about until you can fix the business inside.
We have known forever in psychology that there is a correlation between happiness and success. But we got it backwards.
Yeah, we think that the success will create the
well,
happy.
if we're successful, then we'll be happy. And there is a correlation.
Be, do, have, do, be.
But it has to go in the other direction.
Yeah.
And the research is backing this up in a beautiful way now. I'm so grateful for this. Where it is very literally true that as you are happy, then you are successful.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're happy, you are successful. What else do you want? But it also correlates with every other measurable aspect of success, including wealth, including positive relationships, including job security, everything.
Friends, today we've been talking about gratitude and creation. And Paul, I want to thank you for being on today.
Honored.
Guys, Paul has shared ideas with you I haven't shared previously on the channel, and yet you know I'm a raving lunatic fan of positivity. So Paul, really awesome. I hope we get a chance to do this again.
Yeah.
Do you know, for those of you that are really appreciating this, Paul, what's your YouTube channel's name so that they can find you and get more of these success hacks?
Oh, yeah. Live on Purpose TV.
So
here on YouTube.
Right here on YouTube, Live on Live on Purpose TV is where you're going to find more on BB8 and gratitude triple play and all sorts of other incredible tools for having a positive, healthy psychology and honestly being on a path to living the life of your dreams.